Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Wednesday, March 24th, 2021 meeting of the East Long Meadow Conservation Commission. At this time, I would like to ask if anybody in the audience is recording the meeting. If so, please raise your hand and identify yourself.
Sorry, I don't see anyone.
Okay, good to go. First item on the agenda is approval of the March 10th, 2021 minutes. I did review those. They seem fine to me. Any comments or from the commission or anything?
Look good to me.
I'll move to approve.
Motion's made. Is there a second?
Second,
All right, motion made and seconded. Roll call vote. Francis,
yes.
Jeffrey,
Aye.
Tony,
Gary,
Will,
Yes.
Elizabeth,
Yes.
and Tom, you weren't here, and I am a yes vote also. All right, the first item on the agenda is a public hearing for DEP file number 150-0456 for 86 Summersville Road. Jeff, if you could read that into the record, please.
Was there an updated,
I did change it around a little bit. You might want to take it in that order anyway, because or at least the first certificate of compliance is for 99 Maple Shade, and you would need to address the enforcement order first in that case.
Okay.
so what are we taking first?
I was going with 86 Summersville Road.
Okay, I don't see that on this agenda. Was there another agenda?
It would be item number 4 under public hearings.
Oh, I've got it under item 1 on mine.
I do too.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I changed it around because usually we have the certificates of compliance first. If you want to just make a motion to take it out of order and go straight to 86, that's fine as well.
So is there a new agenda? Is that what you're saying, Bethany?
Yes, there was a revised agenda, which I just printed before we came on.
I'll do a quick and send it out.
Yeah, I don't have that one.
I see it, okay.
I mean, I can start with that if you want, Craig, and just tell you what's first item on the list.
All right, so the latest agenda has the certificate of compliance first, Bethany.
Yes,
What would the second item be?
the certificate of compliance for 21 North Main Street. So both certificate of compliance would be first. Or first and second.
And I don't have those in my packet, so I'm gonna have to go back.
What would the third item on the agenda be
Third item goes into the public hearings.
for North Main Street?
Would be North Main Street first, right? And then Somerville would be second.
Oh.
And then after that would be the order of conditions for the DPW.
Yes. Yeah.
All righty. Shuffling the agenda around, I apologize to the attendees for the confusion there. The first item on the agenda is the enforcement.
First item is the request for certificate of compliance for 99 Maple Shade Avenue, Mass DEP file number 150-0402.
So then where does the enforcement order fall on this new agenda? Bitch.
The enforcement order is after the order of conditions for the bundled NOI.
So it would be the 6th item on the agenda. Under new business.
I believe the enforcement order needs to be addressed first, doesn't it?
That's how I would do it as well. I put the certificates of compliance first because that's generally what we have done, and I wasn't sure if mixing it up would be too confusing, but I think I overthought it, obviously, and now it's more confusing.
So then I think we need to take the enforcement order first and then do the certificate of compliance for 99 Maple Shade.
Okay,
I will entertain a motion to take the agenda out of order and review the enforcement order for 99 Maple Shade Ave as the first item on the agenda.
so moved.
Second,
Roll call vote. All those in favor, Francis,
Yes, I guess so.
Will,
Yes.
Tony,
yes.
Tom,
Aye.
Jeff,
Aye,
Elizabeth,
Yes.
and I'm a yes vote also. Okay, we received a revised plan on this enforcement order for 99 Maple Shade Ave, showing the relocation of the permanent limit of work markers. I'm not sure if Tom Morissette is in the audience and would wish to comment on this. But everything looks fine on this to me. We were doing the trade-off of gaining the additional buffer zone for the portion of the driveway that was located outside of the limit of work line. What we need to do is have this filed with the Registry of Deeds, I would say, and then we should be good to go. But based on this filing, I'm okay with everything as far as the enforcement order goes, and willing to entertain a motion to remove the enforcement order from 99 Maple Shade Ave. Other comments from the commission?
are you looking for a motion?
Yes, unless people have comments or anything about it. I kind of like the plan.
Greg, just a point of order. I think you need to ratify the restoration plan or approve it. Enforcement order.
Okay. I will entertain a motion to ratify the restoration plan as submitted on the enforcement order.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. Francis,
Yes,
Will?
I'm recused from this one.
Oh, that's right. Thank you. Tony,
Yes.
Tom,
Aye.
Jeff,
Aye,
Elizabeth?
Aye.
I am a yes vote also. I guess now then I will entertain a motion to close out the enforcement order for 99 Maple Shade.
so moved.
Second,
Any further discussion? My only discussion would be that we can move from this, and then as long as we have these plans filed at the Registry of Deeds and have the file number submitted to the commission, I believe that we could proceed with the certificate of compliance. Okay, roll call vote again. Jeff,
Aye,
Aye.
Elizabeth?
Aye.
And I am a yes vote also. I apologize for jumping around in the order with the votes, but I just go around the screen, but the pictures keep moving around. All right, the next item on the agenda was the certificate of compliance for 99 Maple Shade Ave. I'll ask again if Tom Morissette happens to be in the audience. Because I believe we would need to have these logged in into Registry of Deeds and have copies of them stamped and returned to the office before we could issue the certificate of compliance. Comments from the commission?
Yeah, that would be the procedure.
That's what I thought, yeah. Based on that, I don't see Mr. Morissette in the audience, but I guess we can pass along that's what would need to be done for the issuance of the certificate of compliance. So I'll entertain a motion to continue the request for a certificate of compliance to our meeting of April 14th.
So moved.
There a second?
Second.
Roll call
Second.
vote. Okay. Jeff,
Aye.
Tony,
Aye.
Francis,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
Elizabeth,
Aye.
and I am a yes vote also. All right, so now we were going to move on to the next item on the agenda, which would be the certificate of compliance for North Main Street from the 2020 filing. And we discovered this was still open and we needed to take care of this before we handled the new notice of intent filing for North Main Street. I've been out there, looked at it, and I know Jeff and Tony have looked at it. Comments from the commission?
This is reference 21 North Main Street, Mass DEP file number 150-0264 for the record. And this was based on an NOI filing that was from 2000. So I think everything is in order, and that basically I think we should just go ahead and issue it so we can get this moving forward.
And I would tend to agree. The property has been vacant for a number of years now. This notice of intent was inherited by the new owner, but essentially nothing has changed out there. And I believe it would have been issued years ago if it was requested by the previous owners. So I will entertain a motion to approve the certificate of compliance for DEP file number 1500264.
So moved.
Second.
And is there any further discussion?
I just wanted to let you know that Robert Levesque has his hand up. Should I let him in or?
Sure.
Okay.
I have further discussion on that too. Do we just pick and choose the ones we do site visits to? Because it seems like there's been a lot of interest in these old ones that you want to do site visits on.
We have done site visits, Tom. We did visit this site.
Fine.
Good evening, guys.
Hey, Rob.
Hey, Rob.
Hi. So yeah, just briefly, we did go out and inspect the site. This was done as part of an expansion for Amito's. There's that round portion of the building that was there prior to this, and then there's that newer, well, it's old now, but it was newer block portion of the building. There was a couple drainage improvements that were proposed on the plan. It was a Smith Associates plan. I think my Uncle Pete had done the wetlands. Everything that I saw on site was installed generally according to plan. It's obviously, approximately 20 years old now. The only items that I think were hanging, which probably don't really pertain anymore, there was a restoration area which appears to be completed. There was a few things though in the order I just wanted to clarify. So one of them was a requirement to record a deed restriction that wasn't described in the order specifically, but to our knowledge that has not been recorded. In addition, there were a few monuments that were supposed to be set, I believe, at the limit of work. I was able to find the old silt fence that actually still exists out there. It's on the ground. Obviously, it hasn't been functioning for probably, I don't know, 18 years or so, I'm guessing. But I think getting in there and trying to pull it out now, rather than let it continue to biodegrade, would probably be more impact. And, that area is all vegetated with mature trees. So to put monuments, which I believe are requested to be put at the limit of work at this point, would probably just cause more disturbance. If you would like those set, we can certainly do that through any orders that are issued under the new notice that's been filed. But I just wanted to clarify that those items, you did look closely at it. I think everything else is generally according to plan. It's just those a couple of those miscellaneous housekeeping items that didn't get taken care of back in 2000. Thank you.
Thank you, Rob. Comments from the commission?
I did see that restoration on the original plan once we got the larger plan. And it was pretty much down in the beyond the what looked like the limit of work line into the wetland area. And I would say that was completed according to the plan back at the time. It's pretty well vegetated and seems to be not impeding anything at this point.
Okay. Tom, did you have a comment?
I want to know if you guys found all the boundaries. What was the condition? Seemed like you were pretty good with it. There was no comments on it.
Correct. And yes, primarily because of the age, this is not uncommon for us to have done things like this in the past. And the site seems pretty much in compliance with what needs to be there. And as Rob stated, we can put, some conditions on the new NOI filing if we see fit.
Right. The point is that it's not perfect and it's 20 years old and we're coming across these and we choose some people to hang them out to dry and then others we just kind of let them go. That's my point.
Well, we're not hanging anyone out to dry. This is the reason why we've been stressing the point of getting these certificate of compliances done in a timely fashion so that we don't run into this. The only reason we ran into this was because of the new project. And in doing the due diligence with the new project, it was found that the certificate of compliance that should have been done 21 years ago was never done. So, and that's why we have to do this and get this completed before we can entertain the NOI for the new project. But based on the plans and the orders of conditions, from what we observed, pretty much follow with the couple of sections, remarks that Rob made. It pretty much follows the original plan. And it's hard to go back to somebody that hasn't owned a property in 5 or 6 years and ask them to try to file a certificate of compliance. So I think in the light of moving forward with the current project in the current situation, in using due diligence and expediency, that we approve this certificate of compliance because it is, with the exception of a couple of things. And yes, there were no limit of work markers, but if you go by the original plan, you can see that it pretty much follows along the limit of work line.
And I guess my comment would be, Tom, if you have a problem with this quote unquote hanging out to dry, please feel free to bring it up under policies and procedures. Shouldn't be done under this filing right here.
I would just ask that the board be consistent in these old filings. That's what I had asked for.
So we can bring it up under policies and procedures then. Yep.
To the chair,
Please, Francis.
Rob Levesque had just made some suggestions and said that he could deal with the monuments that are missing. Was that it? Did I understand correctly, Rob?
Yes, ma'am, through the chair, yes. Should you want monuments set at the, I believe they were to be set at the limit of work. So my interpret, because there wasn't a plan showing those monuments. I didn't see them in the proposed plan. So it's hard to tell where they were called for, but my guess would be that they were called for on the, like where the silt fence is. So there was a restoration. So you know, this remedial site. I can
Yes.
plan, but so if you're looking at the entrance to the north, which is towards Springfield, that entrance to the left of that, if you were coming in that entrance, to the left of that, there was a restoration area there. At the back side of the restoration area, pretty close to the stream, I found the old limit of work line where the silt fence had been staked in. The silt fence was actually laying on the ground. It's kind of buried, but it's, there's a little bit left there. So at that line is where I would anticipate that they were anticipating that the monuments would be put. I did not find any. So I wanted to make it clear to the commission that those do not appear to have been located. It wasn't specific exactly where they were. There was no plan that I could find that was associated with that. And the deed restriction of sorts, whatever was requested, was not recorded. So my suggestion is that the commission should, Mr. O'Brien, want to make sure that those conditions are adhered to. We can certainly incorporate that into the new order and make sure that that gets handled in present day. If you would like the monuments set at that limit of work, they could certainly be set. My comment to the chair would be that getting in there and putting some monuments in might disturb more than we want to at this point, 20 years later, because it is all revegetated. Because when they were going to put them in, they would have put them in and then planted after, and then it would have all grown up. But now you got to kind of get in around the trees. But we can certainly do that if the commission does want that. Even if, we could also do smaller monuments. It's not a problem for us. I just wanted to make sure that the commission was clear that that was not completed to our knowledge with the first order.
So to the chair. So then to continue, I thought, since there's going to be what I would assume is going to be extensive construction on that parcel, it might, and I'd like to hear other people's comments, but I'm thinking it might be best to have the limit of work monuments in place and a new silt fence.
We will absolutely do a new silt.
That's just my comment. So I'd like to hear from the rest of the commission.
There is erosion controls shown on the plan for the new notice of intent that was submitted, which is actually, I believe, I'm going to say it's outside, away from where the permanent limit of work markers were. The permanent markers were closer to the stream. The erosion controls are virtually on the edge of the parking lot where the curbing is. And so the erosion controls will be inside where the permanent limit of work markers are.
I do think that the new plans, when we look at them tonight, you'll see that I think it'll be pretty telling. We'll have those, we can share those on the screen. If the commission feels comfortable issue the certificate of compliance, I can state for the applicant that to Mr. O'Brien that if you would like us to incorporate into the new order, we will voluntarily incorporate limit of work monuments into the new order should the commission want those.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Okay, motion was made and seconded for issuing the certificate of compliance for DEP file number 150-0264. Roll call vote. Jeff?
Aye.
Francis?
Aye.
Aye.
Will?
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
Elizabeth,
Aye.
and I am a yes vote also. North Main. All right, well, since you're here, Rob, the next item on the agenda is the new notice of intent for North Main Street. Jeff, if you could read the notice into the record, please.
Okay. Do we have the DEP file number? It's not listed on here.
Excuse me, could I, Bethany, is it possible to allow Philippe Cravo from my office into the meeting so we can, he's going to share his screen?
Yep, I can send him in.
Thank you.
1500455 would be the file number, Jeff.
Okay. I just want to make sure that gets read into the record. Okay, this is a public hearing for case number NOI 20-21-2, notice of intent for 13 to 15 North Main Street, assessors parcel ID 26-148A, 27-36A, and 37 and 38, for the demolition of existing buildings and construction of a building and site improvement subject to 310 CMR 10-10.58 in parentheses 5, Riverfront Development, applicant Pride Stores LLC, 2246 Cottage Street, Springfield, Mass. It's yours, Craig.
Thank you, Jeff. Rob, Felipe, you have the floor.
Thank you, sir. I just want to make sure we're ready. Okay.
Okay.
So I'll start and then Philippe could get into some of the detail on the drainage. So what you're looking at, well, first of all, for the record, Rob Levesque from our Levesque Associates, also Philippe Cravo from our Levesque Associates. We have a project before you for what I would call the demolition of the two existing structures on the two adjacent parcels at the corner of North Elm Street and Elm Street. There is the old Ramitos building that you see on the left with the oval and the extension that we had just talked about with the certificate of compliance. On the right-hand side, we have the existing Pride gas station, which was a former gas station that was purchased by Pride. So Pride now owns the two parcels, and they are looking to redevelop the parcels. So demolish the existing structures and redevelop the parcels to include one, what I would call a mini supermarket and gas station. Property zone for business. The existing gas station and the Ramitos building get removed. You should still be able to see the existing buildings on this there's a little bit of an overlay here so that you can see where the Ramitos building was, just for reference. In addition, the gas station building. So those will be raised. And then we would propose approximately a 6,000 square foot mini supermarket traditional to what you see with a Pride store, newer Pride store. And then a of gas canopy with 1, 2, 3, 4 islands. And then there's provisions for parking throughout the site, as well as vehicular circulation in and out of the site. We have filed this as a redevelopment project. We have, as you're aware, we have Pecusik Brook, sorry. Pecusik, and that is a perennial stream. And with the perennial stream, as you're aware, there's a 200-foot riverfront area. It is a very restrictive zone if you are doing initial development within that area. There are provisions under 310 CMR 1058.5, I think it is, for the redevelopment of properties. And DEP allows this. The commission may allow this subject to improvements on the subject parcel. For example, moving slightly away from riverfront area, water quality improvements, Other plantings and mitigation in the past have been requested by commissions. So what you see before you this evening is a layout that, if Philippe could zoom in just on the left-hand side, this layout, the riverfront area is on the left-hand side. You'll see those there's some flags. That's the riverfront area. Yep. And then the mean annual high water line of Pecoosac Brook is right where Philippe's cursor is now. And there is a little intermittent bank and then head wall that exists right there. Yeah, right there. That's an existing concrete head wall that was shown on the plans in 2000. So that was an addition at that point. We're actually, as Craig had mentioned, we're moving away from the riverfront area slightly. We're not planning on impacting any area arguably beyond the existing edge of pavement. I believe if Philippe goes just down to the left near the entrance, the other left. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, over near the riverfront area. See that edge of pavement? You'll see that there's an existing, very light existing line for the edge of pavement that's existing. We're moving that over ever so slightly, but we are moving slightly away from the riverfront. We are also introducing, and I'll let Philippe get into a lot of those details should you have questions, but we're introducing an updated stormwater design. If we could skip ahead to the drainage sheet. And that updated stormwater design has been designed to comply with the DEP stormwater management standards that came out in 2008. Those standards require very specific water quality. They require recharge. And in this particular case, we're attenuating stormwater flows under the parking lot in a subsurface infiltration basin that Philippe can kind of just run his hand over the top of. They're similar to a septic system in that the water exfiltrates into the soil. They typically have an isolator row within them that, if for some reason there was ever sediment that fouled these subsurface systems, they can be cleaned out and maintained properly. As part of the DEP standards, there's a construction phase and a long-term operation and maintenance plan for the entire drainage system with periodic inspections that are required. We have deep sump catch basins that run through conveyance pipe to manholes, all of which are accessible. And then to, I believe, is that a water quality? Yeah, so water quality unit located right. Yep, water quality unit 1 is right there. So prior to discharging to the adjacent resource area, the water is attenuated. So it's basically metered out so that we're not increasing post-development runoff flows. We do not have a new point source discharge to the wetland, so we're able to utilize the existing pipe at the end. So near the wetland, we're not impacting that area that was restored back in 2000. We're kind of working in the parking lot, working with the existing drainage beyond the parking lot, but we will be able to give you a state-of-the-art drainage system under the parking lot and up to that edge where we then tie into the existing drainage, having little or really no impact within that vegetated area that was restored in 2000. There is some grading associated with the site. There'll be some cut and fills to incorporate the two sites together. As you're aware, there is some grade change between the two. Generally speaking, the proposal is to have these two properties act as one site that would be accessed through the curb cuts that you see off of Elm Street and the two off of Main. We do have, just for a point of reference, we do have an application that was submitted to the planning board that was withdrawn temporarily for a zoning item I wanted to clarify, but that will be back before the commission. I'm sorry, the planning board, probably within the next few weeks or so. We don't anticipate any changes related to this. There's not a lot of general on-site changes that can be made given the footprint that we have to deal with and what we're proposing to do. But if you have suggestions or are looking for additional improvements in the riverfront area, we're certainly our ears are open and our minds are open to that. I believe we did get a file number, and I believe there were some comments made by Mr. Stinson from DEP, typical to the requirements of riverfront area and riverfront area redevelopment. So should you want to go through those, we certainly can, but I think I'll stop there, and through the chair, we'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay. At this time, before we bring it back to the commission, I would like to open it up to the public and see if there's any members of the public that have any questions or comments that should be addressed through the chair, and we can move forward with those. Can we check and see if there's anyone in the public that wishes to speak?
Yep, I don't see anyone.
Seeing no one. Okay, I guess we'll, I don't think there's any harm in leaving it open to the public for a little while longer if we have any discussions, any questions or comments or anything from commissioners.
I have a question. Rob, I'm assuming there's an oil water separator involved in that infiltration system.
Yes, so absolutely. So I'm gonna ask Philippe to kind of describe how the water comes to the system and how that oil water separator that he's showing, how that kind of works with the baffle system.
Okay, thank you.
You there, Philippe? I think you're muted.
Yep, got it. Sorry. For the record, Philippe Cravo, Arlevex Associates. This being a gas station, there are provisions that we take to sort of contain any accidental spills at the source. So each of the catch basins are hooded with deep sumps. So the outlet pipe has sort of a nozzle on it that goes under the water. So any oil that could get into the catch basin itself would float on top of the water, and it sort of has a nozzle that goes under the water. So that's the first line of sort of defense against oil spills. The next step, if it did make it past the hood in the catch basin, it would be have to be run through the water quality unit. And the water quality unit is just a proprietary device that gives a higher level of treatment for total suspended solids in addition to oil and water. So what you're treating is you're treating for any, sand, grit, any of those other floating suspended solids that make it into the water during some sort of turbulence or something that makes it down into the pipe. They get captured by the water quality unit, as well as it has capacity for a volume of oil within that chamber. And that's all prior to the isolator row, which is another redundant water quality for suspended solids within the subsurface system. So basically we have 3 lines of treatment prior to water getting into the subsurface system. The catch basins with hoods, the water quality unit, and then the isolator row. But for oil, really, they'll be caught by the catch basins and the water quality unit.
Are you increasing the size of the outlet pipe?
No, we're not touching the outlet pipe. So right now, currently, there's an existing catch basin right at the curb line here, right off the entrance. That catch basin has an outlet pipe to the head wall. Based on the calculations, we were able to utilize that pipe, meter out the water from the outlet control structure from the subsurface system to utilize that pipe. So we do not disturb anything more than we have to within the riverfront area.
And we did investigate that outlet, Tom. The head wall's in good shape, and that 12-inch pipe out of the head wall is in very good shape.
Would you care to comment on comment number 5 from Mark Stinson regarding the concrete head wall and the discharge point to a bank or a bordering vegetated wetland?
We'll have to check what number 5 was. Let me see what we got there.
So I just pulled up, Rob, a
Yeah.
response letter that Ryan had put together.
Yep.
And
Yeah, so I think the interpretation was that was a proposed head wall. So being an existing head wall, it would not be a new point source discharge to the resource area. So yeah, so under the proposed condition, we're using the existing head wall,
Right.
and it does not need to be altered.
Right, not being worked on, so then it can remain, as Stinson said. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yep, yes, sir. Thanks.
And you feel very, you can assure us that you're making every effort to be sure that no oil gets into the brook, into the stream?
Yes, that's correct. And there's a very specific protocol. Bob Bolduc was very helpful. We're working with him on a few projects, and one of the projects that he explained that the new canopy systems that they have are very responsive to any of that type of stuff. There's obviously very specific state requirements as far as the pad below the canopy. You've probably seen some of those what's the term? Grooves in the concrete in those areas at a gas station. Those are actually sized based on a certain amount of volume to allow if there was a spill. And I couldn't tell you the specifics of the volume, but the state does regulate how those are created and what those grooves can contain, so that in the event that there was a spill, it would be contained on the concrete pad. It would be caught in those grooves, which are, there's typically multiple grooves, or I don't know if I'm using the right term, but yeah, so those areas are pretty well regulated. So in order for a spill to get from point A being on, in that general fueling area to point B being the head wall, it would have to go through, or I would have to run off the pavement to a catch basin. Those catch basins, as Philippe had mentioned, they have a 4-foot sump on the bottom and they have hoods on them. So the chances of the floatable oil or gas getting out of that is fairly slim, but if it did get through there and it got into the next control area, it would be in a water quality unit. That water quality unit is proprietary just for that purpose. It's been specifically designed. It's not just your basic manhole. And then from there, it would go into the isolator row if it did get there. So there's really, I would say, 4 safeguards in place. Now, that's not to say that major accidents don't happen, but a lot of the fueling vehicles, they're all DOT, obviously very specific approvals are required for these fueling vehicles. I just recently in East Hampton had permitted a fuel facility, and we went through all of the different safeguards that are in place, and they're plentiful. So short of a catastrophic event, you can rest assured that not only is the drainage system and the site designed to prevent issues to the resource area. In addition to that, you don't have the same problems with the actual tanks that you used to have. All of the tanks have basically, the actual fuel tanks have been required to be updated over the years. It's funny, when I talk to environmental consultants, some of them are slowing down, so to speak, because in the last 20 years, they don't have the same type of issues with a lot of these buried tanks. These tanks typically have double or triple walled tanks with alarms and all the bells and whistles to prevent any issues. So this would be state of the art facility designed to 2021 standards, and with all the operational safeguards in place as well.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Relatively speaking, I believe these tanks were replaced a short period of time ago. And you are replacing them again?
No. I believe they'll be able to utilize the tanks that were just recently.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but they meet the new standards that that came out.
Yep. Any other questions or comments from the commission?
I was satisfied with that. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
My other one, I just wanted to bring up that if there is some more plantings going on here, so we're actually, we're not really increasing the amount of impervious surface here, correct?
Philippe, can you confirm that? I don't think we are, but I just I don't want to speak out of school.
No, it's very close. We are a little bit. It's very close, but it's only maybe, I think it was like 1,200 square feet. It was an increase, but it was a very small increase.
And there's an increase in the square footage of the building. going from the two buildings to the one, but also that's fairly small also, correct?
We're at 6,000 now. I'm not sure what it was before.
I don't know if I've, yeah, I'm not sure if we quantified the existing buildings. The Marimitos building, believe it or not, was pretty good size.
Yeah,
And it's probably pretty close. If you can actually see the other ones underneath, on this
yeah,
one.
I mean, that's what I came up with when I tried to do some numbers, but it seemed like it was pretty close to me.
Yeah, I would agree.
And Francis, did you see where the silt fence is along the pavement, the erosion controls? Where he's moving his
Yes,
person now?
yes.
Yep.
That's good. And there used to be like I don't know, like a little garden with shrubbery. Is that all gone? It's all going to be paved over now?
No, so just to clarify, through the chair, if you're talking about the area that was proposed in 2000 as being planted, that's all vegetated now. That has totally matured.
It's like
They're pretty good size, maybe like 4 to 6 inch caliper trees in there.
Yeah.
There are some other landscaping. There's some other landscaping in front of the existing Ramitos building and a little bit of
Right.
lawn area. That will be asphalt now, but there will be a grassed strip along the entrance, along the frontage there. So there will be landscape. There is landscaping. There is a landscaping plan proposed. It's pretty extensive.
Yeah, I'm interested in making sure that towards North Main Street, there's some beautification. That we
There
don't
is.
completely have asphalt to look at when we drive by there.
We
It's a
we
very
don't.
imposing site, it's right
Yes.
there in the center of town.
It is. It's hard to miss. Philippe, can you just scroll through to I think the landscape sheet should be in this set.
Yeah, it is.
Okay. Is that it? No, there you go.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's not as graphic as our typical plan, but Pride had provided this. So we have the species listed on the upper right-hand side. So there's some trees and some shrubs along the entrance. The green areas are in fact going to be lawn panels. So there's, and then they're beautifying that corner. They're actually pulling back from the corner. Yeah, right there. And they have a little, call it a little pocket park. It's not big, but it's a little pocket park there.
Very good. Thank you. I'm happy to see that.
Thank you.
And essentially what's coming out is the strip of grass between the existing station and Ramitos.
Right.
Yes, and also a little bit in front of Ramito. Yep, you're accurate.
Yes.
However, I will point out that you're also greening two areas which are now the first entrance off the rotary going into the Pride Station will be moved back considerably. So you're losing one entrance there and one on the opposite side from Elm Street, which will be more grassed in. And so basically the entrances are moved further back, entrances, exits. So you're actually picking up a little bit of more green area along the two side streets.
We are, and that was to help you guys navigate that crazy intersection you have over there.
That's very good.
What's crazy?
Actually, I got to tell you, with all the different people coming and going, it actually works pretty good, doesn't it?
I tell you that the last few weeks, I've seen some really hairy things. The other day, there was someone who made a left turn from the stop sign on North Main Street and went and cut right across and made a left turn by the island, went down Elm Street.
Yeah.
Oncoming traffic, and I just like, whoa. And then I saw a woman who went from North Main Street, drove straight up the left side of the rotary going up the hill towards Summers Road with oncoming traffic, and people were blowing their horns and like, what's going on?
So this is an improvement to what we have now in terms of
Yeah, it will be.
area. So that's good. And we'll have copies. I mean, we can access these plans, right?
Absolutely. And if you'd like, we can drop off additional hard copies to Bethany. I don't know during COVID what we did with Bethany, but whatever you guys need, we can get hard copies out there.
I've got a full set of the.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah. And
So
I
if
have
we need
full
a
set
site
as well.
visit later, we have that. I mean, you have it, Craig. Okay, good.
Yes, we do. Yeah.
Thank you.
I guess at this time, I'd like to give the public another opportunity to opine. If we could check and see if there's anybody in the public that would like to comment regarding this filing.
I don't see any hands.
Okay, thank you very much. And at this time, I guess I will entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So
So
moved.
moved.
second,
Okay. Roll call vote to close the public hearing. Jeff,
Aye.
Francis,
Aye.
Tony,
aye,
Will,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
Elizabeth,
Aye.
and I am a yes vote also. So now one more time back to the commission. Personally, I don't see any big issues with this. It's pretty much a trade-off. It's gonna be, you know, a newer, better facility. We'll get rid of the vacant eyesore. And I don't particularly see here where we're causing any real impact in the resource area, because there's really not anything happening outside of where the existing curbing is. There's gonna be a little bit of work on the curb where it gets moved, but there is erosion control for that. So basically, as far as I'm concerned, I don't have any issues with this, but other commissioners?
I'm good with the plan.
Anyone else?
I'm all set.
Okay, I will entertain a motion for the approval of the notice of intent filed under DEP file number 150-0455.
So moved.
Seconded.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote. Jeffrey,
Aye.
Francis,
Aye.
Tony,
aye,
Will,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
Elizabeth?
Aye.
I am a yes vote also. Good luck with the project, gentlemen.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very
Thank you,
much.
Thanks,
Commissioner.
Rob.
Thank
Hold
you.
it, Day.
Thank you.
Hmm.
Craig, you have a raised hand from Tom Morissette in the audience.
Um, we're- Yeah, we're kind of done with that project for now. Yeah, we need to keep moving with the agenda. That item's all been closed out. We really can't reopen it at this point.
If you're listening, I will email you an update.
Thank you. All right, the next item on the agenda is a notice of intent for 86 Somerville Road, which was DEP file number 150-0456.
Okay, this is a public hearing for NOI case number 2021-3, DEP file number 150-0456. Notice of intent for 86 Somerville Road, a parcel, assessor's parcel ID 82-2-B for the construction of a single-family dwelling on-site septic system, driveway, well, lawn and associated grading in the 100-foot buffer zone of a bordering vegetated wetland. Applicant Neil Jackson, 30 Mountain View Drive, Belchertown, Mass.
Thank you. The applicant is in the attendees group. Please raise your hand if you wish to speak, please.
Yes, this is Neil Jackson from J&P Engineering Services. I am here representing Brianna Barkham for 86 Summersville Road. I'm sorry I can't log into the on the computer. I'm not sure what's going on, but she's proposing to build a 55-foot by 31-foot single-family dwelling with on-site septic, town water, driveway, lawn, and associated grading within the 100-foot buffer, but no work is proposed within the 50-foot.
Okay. The commission did conduct our 8th site visit of the month of March out there last evening. Myself, Tony, and Jeff were there. As far as for me, it was a little confusing with the flagging. There's different flags for different colors with different colors on them. So it was kind of hard to follow the sequence there. One of the other things I would also, was looking for was the actual flagging for the limit of work line.
Okay, we didn't put any flagging in for the limit of work. The blue flags were actually all the flagging out there was set by Mike Petrus, Land Solutions, Engineering and Land Solutions. So I believe the flags that are colored are non-hydric. That's usually what he does.
Okay.
We can certainly set the limit of work line before construction starts. It's actually, as you saw, it's a previously disturbed area. There were 2 buildings there that were raised and sort of cleaned up, but not really cleaned up. So obviously that'll be done also.
Questions or comments from commissioners?
Yeah, I'm just curious, were there any soil samples taken?
I believe Mike did soils, yes. He usually does, but I was unable to get a hold of him to get his results.
Okay, because I'd kind of like to see that because I'm familiar with that property. And the upfront portion, there was an old farmhouse, but in the back raised area, there was an old barn there. And I'm a little, and I know there were some vehicles parked there that were sunken down into the ground up to the running boards. It sat there for years. So a little concerned about what the soil samples turned up.
Okay, as far as the wetland soils?
Right, and if it showed any contaminants in the ground there.
Okay, yeah, I'm not sure if he checked for contaminants. He was delineating the wetland.
Yeah, well, usually there's a form that gets filled out with these notices of intent, talking about, that you fill out pertaining to the amount of what types of vegetation and what types of soil are present.
Yeah, and again, Mike Petrus did that, and I was unable to get anything from him. I could certainly try to reach out to him again.
Good, that's kind of important for the filing.
Yeah, and then, and because that would be, what method was used to come up with the delineation?
Well, I know he did soils and vegetation.
Okay. So then there should be a report that exists that we could see on that.
Okay, I can get that for you.
I guess at this time we might have a few more questions, but I will open this up to the public and see if there's anyone that wishes to comment or has any questions regarding this project.
I don't see any hands.
Pardon?
I don't see any hands.
Okay. Bringing it back, I guess, wait a little bit before we close the public hearing. One of the other questions I guess I had was regarding the septic. Is there not sewer line to tie into there?
No, no, there is not. There is town water, but there's no sewer there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I double checked that, Craig, and that there is no sewer line that runs down Somerville Road.
Yeah, I verified that with the Board of Health. That was one of the first things they questioned, so.
Any other questions or comments from the commissioner?
What's the approximate length of that driveway that's proposed?
It's like about 75 feet.
Oh, okay. There weren't any dimensions on here. It's. And the filing says a well. Are you putting a well in as well as town?
No, that was a typo. I apologize.
Oh, okay.
That was on the template that I always use, and I did not take that out. I apologize for that.
Okay, so there will be no well.
No, no well. Well, it's certainly going to be an improvement. The site's kind of is a mess right now, so I mean, putting the house there, she's going to clean up all the remains of the building, the two buildings that were there, get those out of there.
Well, it was even more unsightly before with the collapsed roof of the barn sitting there for years.
Yeah, I mean, I just saw it now, and it certainly wasn't great, but it'll be definitely an improvement.
Yes, I agree. That wasn't kind of rough for quite a while.
Can't hear you, Craig.
Yes, I agree. It was in rough shape for quite a while. Golf can drive by it all the time. And I really don't have issues, but I would just like clarification on the delineation, and have the 50-foot limit of work line marked, just so we could see that, and just a little bit clearer of the flagging, and the delineation report with the soil samples. And then I don't see any problem with this moving forward. But so what I would recommend is, that we continue this public hearing to our April 14th meeting, in order to see the flagging of the 50-foot limit of work and delineation report.
I'd like to see the
Soil sample.
the delineation flagging marked a little more clearly too.
Mhm.
And if he's going to use color-coded flags to provide a coding as to what that represents.
Okay.
And the soil samples too, right? The report of the soil
Right.
samples.
Yeah.
For the delineation, or are you looking for something other than the delineation borings?
Well, also if there's, I'd be interested to know if there's any contaminants in the ground there, especially around where the barn was and where the septic system is going.
Not sure how we accomplish that.
Yeah, I'm not sure either, unless you want to do a 21E study, which seems, seems excessive. I mean, she's certainly improving the site.
I would think maybe that would be planning board and the building inspector's responsibility, maybe Board of Health more than us.
Yeah, it's kind of,
Yeah.
yeah, maybe out of our
Yeah.
jurisdiction there.
So just as,
I can check with Mark Stinson and see if he has any suggestions on how that's usually approached.
yeah, I believe that is pretty much out of our jurisdiction unless it was in the wetland, but I believe where the things were stored were not in the wetland.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. So, okay, we're looking at the delineation of the wetland. So again, I will entertain a motion to continue the public hearing till our April 14th, 2021 meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All righty, roll call vote. Jeff,
Aye.
Francis,
Yeah,
Will,
Yes.
you gotta go at 7 o'clock. Tony?
Yeah, I was just gonna say I'm out of here. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, well,
Tony,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
Elizabeth,
Aye.
and I am a yes vote also. All right, we look forward to seeing you at our next meeting.
Okay, thank you, and I will chase Mike Petras down and try to get that information.
All righty.
okay,
thank you very much.
thanks.
thank you.
Next item on our agenda, I believe, is the approval of the order of conditions for the DPW bundled notice of intent.
Correct.
I did have a chance to look at them. I thank you for adding those items to it, Bethany, but my first question is, I'm hoping we're not sending this into the DEP with things crossed off in there, the few orders that we're taking out. We're just gonna clean that up and change the numbers before submittal.
I was just showing you the boilerplate, what that looks like, and then what I was planning on taking out, which is all the crossed out items. And then for Tony's sake, Tony, I did add, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 special conditions based off of Mark Stinson's comments. that
Yep.
he provided.
Mhm. Yeah, look good, but I just want to double check. I assume you weren't, but
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'll clean it up. And I'll also add a little narrative, basically just recording the your votes, your motions.
okay. Any other comments or anything from the commission?
The only thing, a question of Bethany, did we get a copy? If we did, I don't have it, of the narrative, the notice of intent narrative, the introduction, the limit of work and all that whole second, 2.0, 2.1, all that. Did we get that? I don't remember seeing it.
Sorry, what are you referring to?
On the table of comments for the notice of intent,
Excuse me. Go ahead.
I received the WP Form 3, but where it says table of contents, 1.0 was the notice of intent forms, but then it says 2.0 notice of intent narrative, and then all the subcategories below that. I don't remember ever seeing that because I was trying to compare Mark Stinson's comments, and then I realized that I don't have any of this whole other section.
So, sorry, so you're talking about the bundled application itself.
Right.
Let me see. If I can pull
I have
it.
the WPA Form 3, but I don't remember seeing any of the narratives or all the rest of it. I did receive the appendix mappings, but that whole 2.0, notice of intent narrative and all the subcategories. Never saw any of that.
I don't find it either.
I think we sent over what we received. It should be on page 15 of the document. Out of the 24 pages,
I
it's
see it. Yep.
So what document is that with
That would
24
be,
pages?
that would be the bundled NOI narrative. That's what it's.
I don't have that. I just had the bundled NOI, no order of conditions. Let me see. Was
That
that
would-
sent to us a long time ago?
The NOI you would have received at least prior to the last meeting.
Oh, okay, okay. I'm not looking at the old things. All right.
Um,
Oh, okay. Never mind. I see it here now.
yeah, it's further down in the document, so it's kind of easy to overlook.
Okay. I see it. Yeah, it is here. Okay, my apologies.
No problem.
So where did you find it, Jeff? Could you help me? I'm not able to find it.
It's after the WP PA3 forms. It's further back in.
Yeah.
It's all part of the same document that we got.
Mine only has 12 pages, so I don't think I got the same document.
Francis, I think you're looking at the order of conditions. I just sent
Yeah.
you the NOI application. To your email.
Trying to find it. So it's before the last meeting.
Mhm.
Right, because the NOI was approved at the last meeting. So you always had the NOI comes first, and then the
Right.
permit itself is called the order of conditions. So that always comes second.
Yeah, usually I save it according to the meeting, but for some reason I'll have to go back and find it. Okay, thank you.
And if there's any questions, Tom Christensen is in the audience if you want to clarify anything.
You know, the only question I guess I had is, you know, that and in 2.6, it's cleaning, maintaining bridge decks and bridge abutments, including mortaring and pointing. Oh, well, as long as there's no work within the water column or waterway. Okay, that's all right. I'm sorry.
Oh,
I'm pretty much okay with it as submitted, or as we wrote the conditions. If we could just see the final draft before it goes out, it'd be great though.
Okay,
I'll entertain a motion for approval of the order of conditions for the bundled notice of intent for the East Long Meadow Department of Public Works.
So moved.
So moved.
There's a second?
Second. Second.
All righty, roll call vote. Jeff,
Aye.
Tony,
Aye.
Francis,
aye.
Elizabeth,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
and I am a yes vote also. Good luck, Tom Christensen. Okay, the next item we had was project monitoring, and was this MECO utility maintenance work notice? That was still the first one on the revised agenda.
yep,
Yep. And essentially that was just a notification about some upcoming work.
yes, yep. They always try to notify the town in case we get any calls from abutters wondering what's going on.
Okay. And I really don't have any issues with that. The next item we had was the hidden ponds and the stormwater basin outlet control structure. And I believe Philippe Cravo was still here to discuss that, as well as Al Joyce.
You have a hand in the audience. Should I send him in?
Yep, man, that's Philippe.
Okay.
Philippe is there, Craig.
Okay.
Hello again.
Hello again. All right, so yeah, just gonna just run through, I guess, the original subdivision design and then kind of talk about the basin and how it's functioning today and, you know, how we can monitor it and, you know, move forward here. So basically what you are not seeing, because I haven't shared yet. Let's see here. So can you see the PDF? Right now?
Yes.
Okay, great. So basically, this is the Hidden Ponds subdivision. See, the road that was built is this road here, in addition to the smaller cul-de-sac, but I guess the discussion here tonight is the detention basin that was constructed here. So basically, as part of the original design, you know, we analyzed the site and identified this location as the low point for the property, and that's where the stormwater it was the natural low point of the land, and that's where the topography just kind of dictated where the basin wanted to be. So as of right now subdivisions are a little different than like site designs, because sites, you know, just like the Pride that we were just talking about, you know, they're a business. They want to get up and running right away. So, you know, the construction, erosion control, mitigation all happens at the same time. Whereas something like this, you know, you get the road cut in, you get all the utilities installed, and then, you know, then you have each individual lot get developed as they're sold or as they're, you know, as they're developed by whoever's building houses. So it's kind of a longer process in general in that sense. So I think that's, you know, the construction period controls are a longer term sort of ongoing effort versus, you know, site design, maybe a year or 2 years for Pride to get up and running, you know, hopefully not that long for them, but, you know, it's contained to that season typically, whereas a subdivision, you know, can extend from, you know, over a number of years as the lots get developed. So I think, you know, so this basin here, which is what we want to talk about. Let me just go to the sheet that kind of blows it up. And, you know, just from the site visits that I've done, most recently, you know, back in January, it seems to be in general compliance with the shape. You know, once the subdivision goes into the transfer to the association or the town, you know, we're going to do an as-built of the entire subdivision, you know, to verify that the edge of pavements are installed as they were proposed, the basin was constructed, you know, with the elevations and the outlets and everything that's shown here. But from my site visit, you know, a couple things that I did locate, you know, I was able to locate the dry wells that were installed in the basin, and the outlet control structure. And one thing that I noticed when I was out there is that the outlet control structure, which is detailed out here, has this orifice that's a maintenance orifice down at the bottom, you know, which should be at grade with the bottom of the basin. And now that is there in case this basin ever does, something happens, it fouls up at some point, and they need to get the water out of this basin. There's a plug down there, which is just, a cap, a screw cap on a PVC outlet pipe that under any normal condition does not let water through. That plug was not there, and that's what I think was creating a lot of the discharge from the basin that probably shouldn't have been occurring up to this point. But, I guess some of the things that, that were beneficial were that, not having standing water in the basin allowed some vegetation to take root during the bottom, which will help to provide that, the functions of an infiltration basin, such as water quality treatment and those things and those types of functions. But since my visit, the contractor, Bradway Construction, went out there and installed the cap on the outlet at the bottom of the basin. And that, I think that will prevent the majority of the storm events that we get. Anything basically, up less than the 100-year storm event will be contained within the basin itself. I know there was, I think, Craig, you had some concerns with, sedimentation getting into the basin. And I think those are legitimate concerns, and certainly things that I would want to see addressed before, this sort of transfers over from a construction, the construction side of the subdivision to the sort of the ongoing maintenance side of the subdivision. I think a couple things that we've done in the past is, scrape out the bottom of the basin, because, during construction, there are silt sacks in the catch basins on the roadway. But, as you're probably very familiar, this site has that red stone, very fine, silty, that once it gets suspended in stormwater runoff, it stays suspended. It's just such a fine particle that it takes a long time to settle out of the water. It has to stand there for a while before it precipitates out of the water. So, that being said, I think that, with that cap being installed at the bottom of the basin, I think it will prevent any discharge coming out of this basin for all of, any given storm events that we see, typically, especially now heading into, the spring rainy season. It gives us a good opportunity to see see how this basin is functioning. One thing that I did notice is that outlet, just the way it was constructed, is about a foot or so off the bottom of the basin. And, that's something that I certainly want to double check when we do that as-built, to make sure that the elevations of that outlet are where it should be. And, but because it is about a little higher, you can see sort of the stain lines on the concrete outlet structure, and it is exfiltrating. So there is a volume of water below there that stays within the basin, and it does infiltrate into the ground. So I think that's a good sign that the basin is infiltrating the water that's below that outlet. But, any storm events that the water gets above there, it is making its way out. And I think that's been the cause of concern here. So, yeah, if there's any specific questions, I can certainly try and answer them.
I have quite a few.
Sure.
Is there any questions from commissioners or comments?
Philip, prior to, or once this was initially being set up, this basin, and when the street was first put in, there was a lot of storm water because the catch basins weren't covered or protected in any fashion. So there was a lot of red clay and red silt flowing into that basin on the bottom. And I'm just wondering if there's, I don't know if you did any test samples or
Yeah.
how thick the sediment is built up in the bottom of that basin, if it's going to prevent this from functioning properly in the future.
Yeah, I guess the short answer is we have not done any additional tests or soil samples within the basin itself, but I mean, before it gets turned over, those are definitely things that we want to address and verify before we release, you know, the subdivision from any sort of jurisdiction that you might have over it.
Okay.
I get what, and I don't know if Mr. Joyce wants to come into the meeting, but I'm gonna refer to the email from Mr. Joyce where he, you know, references the fact where we were asking, you know, where is it stated? Because that not installing this drain plug is routine. And can you show how this would be a best management practice? You know, and we have, you know, this email pretty much stating that this cap was left off kind of to follow best management practices, so there would be less standing water in there, so the grass would grow better. And frankly, I struggle with that statement. You know, and the other thing, I sent out some pictures that were taken in last October, and in Mr. Joyce's email, it says you know, the vegetation appears to have died. I mean, and that's exactly what we have in the picture there, that the vegetation in the bottom of the basin was pretty much dead. And on the same weekend, we were out looking at a similar type basin and another project conducted at a similar time. And that basin, it looked beautiful. There's green grass in it. And you can see in the picture from October where the grass on the side of the basin is green, but the grass on, or the vegetation in the bottom of the basin is pretty much dead. You know, and so I struggle with this, that we're citing best management practices. That's why this cap was left off. This was an ongoing issue for months with the commission, with the excessive outflow of the water there, with never any mention of this cap not being installed. And I don't believe this cap was installed until about January, until after you pointed it out that it hadn't been installed fully.
Right. I totally get what you're saying. You know, it would probably make sense to, when the basin, you know, when the grass is first germinating, you know, you don't want it to be underwater. So you might do it at a time where we don't get that much rain and leave it off until it germinates. But then you want to get that on, you know, as quickly as you can, for sure.
And so I question how we're possibly going to get vegetation to grow in there, you know, and unfortunately, the sad reality is that this project has been nothing but an example of how not to follow best management practices from the start. You know, and we can start with the initial tracking pad that never got put in, you know, and we have pictures of the clay being tracked all the way to Elm Street. The clay was all over every street. I just showed that picture of the red clay. There's just been massive amounts of red clay sediment that have gone in here, you know, and how are we not going to comply with note 6 on the infiltration basin notes? Infiltration basin areas are exposed during construction and do receive sediment deposit. Basin bottom must be over excavated 6 to 8 inches into native material to remove sediment deposits. What's the plan to do that?
That's I mean, certainly that's something I think I totally agree. That's something, and it's stated on there that because all that sediment did make it to this basin, that it will be it will need to be excavated down that depth and, you know, and brought back up to level with a well-drained material and revegetated.
And, you know, and because of all the other things, one of the things that I guess, I'm not sure if you're involved in it or if this needs to be, you know, more of something for Mr. Joyce, but during the basin excavation and then the refilling, there's supposed to be a mix with compost that happens with this. I don't believe I ever saw any compost being brought in there. So if that was there, I guess I would like to see copies of some invoices or something for the compost. You know, and that's where, you know, almost every phase of this basin construction was flawed. There's notes all over the drawings pertaining to blankets being put on the side. I don't believe there was ever a blanket put on the sides of this basin.
Craig, Al Joyce has his hand up in the audience.
Please have them come in.
Okay, I think I unmuted.
We can hear you.
Okay, good. Yes, I'm extremely, we put in a lot of effort. It didn't work very well, it looks like, to get germination in there. And we actually, I think I know the other subdivision you're referring to. It's probably Mike Carabetta's subdivision that had nice green grass, because I've looked at his basin also. And we actually each used the same contractor, Bradway Construction. And he's done a lot of the work in the town. And on this subdivision here, on Hidden Ponds, it was required that we use water tolerant grass. And Scott mentioned, well, that's going to be a problem. He says the water tolerant grass, it's hard to get it to germinate. It takes a lot longer, and he hasn't had good luck with it. We did get, I don't know what germinated in there, if it was, I know it comes with the grass seed we get is a mix. We get it from Valley Green and Holyoke, and they mix it. So I don't know what germinated or what didn't germinate, but he did tell me that in Carabetta's subdivision, he just used regular grass seed, and that worked very well. So I don't know, going forward, we can try in the spring just using normal grass seed. And we did have a very hot, dry summer last year. I don't know, we did try watering it even through the summer, but for some reason, the grass that we had didn't work well. We're gonna give it another shot this year. I'm even looking into, I'd have to speak with Philippe about this, but I'm wondering about the possibility of using sod to put in the basin.
It specifically says on the drawing not to use sod.
All right, well, that's why I was have to check with, but we didn't have success. Well, we can try the water tolerant grass again, maybe get the seed from a different source.
Do you have receipts, and did you have compost put in?
That was done by Bradway Construction. He doesn't give me those types of receipts. I can see what he has on that.
I believe on this project, you're the construction manager, correct?
Yes.
Well, I guess we need to find that out, and it would be your responsibility to follow up that this was constructed properly. Unless you're gonna say there was some engineer that was in charge of this at that time.
No, I just don't have receipts for any, I don't have receipts of anything. That he's purchased hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of materials. I don't have any receipts on anything. That's not how it's normally done. But I can certainly contact Scott and find out what he has for receipts.
It also states in here, surface infiltration basin construction loads. Engineers shall inspect the construction of the basin at milestones listed below. Notify the engineer at least 24 hours prior to beginning construction of the following. Completion of the excavation for the infiltration basin area to subgrade. And then after spreading of dense turf seed or water tolerant grass. Do you have those reports?
I do not have those reports.
Who was the engineer that would have been responsible for doing those?
That would have been our Levesque.
And
Was our Levesque under contract at that time when these milestones were met?
Well, I've used our Levesque for everything on this subdivision.
You used a different engineer for when other erosion controls were put around the catch basins. Is that not correct?
We did use, I forget their name. We did have a different engineer for that, yes.
Yes, okay. Did you ever install the blankets on the sides of the basin during construction?
They were installed along the tops of the basin.
Okay. Doesn't appear that that's what the plans show.
Well, we had good germination on the sides of the basin, so whatever we did worked well.
But then there was also erosion coming off the sides and going into the basin. And I just don't see how this is going to work unless you clean out 6 to 8 inches of that basin. There's been clay flowing in there for 1.5 years. And I was not referring to the basin you were referring to. I was referring to another one.
Oh, all right.
And my question is, what's the plan to do this? How are you going to dig
I
out?
think
6 to 8
Philippe
inches
has already sent me an
replant?
email stating that it's standard practice. At least this is what I got, Philippe. He's listening. So if I miss quoting, please correct me. But he stated that it's standard practice prior to conveying the subdivision to the town that the material in the basin gets removed down to, I think he said, a depth of 12 inches, because we do our best to keep the street clean. It doesn't always happen. This is a particularly difficult site because of the type material on this site. I've never had a site where everything just turns red. Even at grade level, when it rains, the puddle is red. That's not, I've worked in red pan lots of times, but it doesn't just turn red. There's something unique about this quarry area. But he did say that prior to conveyance, it would get excavated and it would be replaced. And so then any sediment that does accumulate in there would be taken care of. Philippe, please step in and correct me if I'm wrong.
yeah, no, I think that's certainly something that needs to happen, but also maintenance of the inlet control, of the silt sacks at the catch basins. If those haven't been changed out recently, those are not just, set it and forget it type of source control. Those need to be changed out and cleaned periodically as well.
We have had a problem with those. We've tried a number of things, and all the water collects at the bottom of the street right near the basin. And when we, even changing out the sacks and cleaning the sacks, I've used different types of sacks. If they get clogged at all, which they tend to get clogged, then the street floods. And this has happened a couple of times, and the street flooding just makes a huge mess everywhere. So we haven't found an easy way. I've got those orange sacks that you purchase that are made specifically for it.
Yep.
Well, they clog very easily. And then I've used filtration fabric, but that doesn't let the water through quick enough. And then so the water just, it fills it up, and then it just passes all the way down into the bottom of the street. Right. I've used silt fence, but the silt fence is so slippery that it just kind of slides into the catch basins. I've tried putting wattles around them, but that just dammed the water and that flooded the street. So I think
so I think what I'm hearing is that there's a lot of sediment that's reaching those catch basins, which would make you, I think, want to control it, closer to its source. So when someone's excavating for a foundation or, spreading, just doing earthwork on the individual properties themselves, I think that's, one spot that could be a, higher source control, a good opportunity for higher source control. Whether it's silt fence and hay bales, I think we just got to make a, bigger attempt at the source before it gets to the catch basin, because, basically those silt sacks are doing what they're filtering the sediment out. But the problem is that sediment it's clogging them. It's they're working maybe too well, that it captures all the sediment, but then once it's filled, then they stop functioning, and then you get the puddles at the surface.
If I may, they're not working too well. There's still plenty of sediment getting into the basin.
Right.
However, it is dramatically reduced from before. But I know what Al's been going through with this, but what I struggle with here is we have this other professional engineer come in, we design this, and we're putting wattles around it. And yes, of course, that's going to cause the water to puddle up in the street. So as opposed to working with the engineer and trying to come up with another fix in how we're doing it, we just take it out and allow more sediment to go into the basin. I mean, you could have put a pump in there and pumped it into a truck and have it hauled away. I mean, I know that might not sound real practical, but there always have been alternatives to consider prior to just taking some action, and we'll see what happens next. And, and I apologize, it's not our issue, and I don't have to apologize, but this is red clay. It's a quarry. I mean, yeah, there's going to be red clay there. There's special conditions to apply. And so perhaps this should have been researched more, and a professional engineer on staff and how to control it. We had suggestions from Mark Stinson about the flocculent type of erosion control, but that was never, we didn't want to do that. I don't know if it was a cost factor or what, but those are much better at removing the fine particulates. So.
The one thing we did do, Craig, which I think especially over the winter made a huge difference, I know, is instead of just having the tracking pad on all the houses that were under construction, we actually, and this is something no builder does, we actually put the first coat of pavement down everywhere, and that greatly, now since I've done that, and I'm going to do that going forward as soon as it's practical, that works better than the anti-tracking pad. It works better than anything. And since doing that, there has been dramatically less erosion into the street and into the basin. I think at this point, I think we're pretty successful at controlling it.
It's better. I mean, it could be better, but yeah, I mean, the amount of time that we spent struggling to get proper tracking pads put in this project amazes me. When we had some tracking pads out there that were 8, 10, and maybe 15 feet long. Not too many were 30 feet long, that it says in best management practices. And that's where we have all these extenuating circumstances that contributed to this massive amount of clay that's in the basin. And I just don't see how it's any way possible to get this basin to function properly without excavating it out and putting in new soil. We've had
we're going to do that, Craig. We are definitely going to do that, because
and I guess what I would like to see is, what's the plan? How are you doing that? Where's the stormwater going to go? Or are we going to take the cap off again and then have to deal with other flooding issues, from the outflow of the basin that we were dealing with before? Because those flooding issues going off and heading towards the wetland are not acceptable. We can't be having this massive outflow from that basin with the cap out, so grass can grow.
I think that, once that the construction sort of stabilizes, people have lawns in their front yards, I think that the sediment reaching the basin will obviously be reduced. And that would be, probably the best time to change out that soil. But it's a monitoring thing. I think at this point, Craig, I think it's a monitoring. We have to, now that the cap is on, we monitor it. And if it's And if there's standing water in the basin and because it's been fouled up with all the sediment, then I think it's at that's the time, we have to take additional action right at that point.
I would say the amount of sediment going into the basin has been reduced by 80%
Mhm.
compared to at its peak, when there
Right.
was nothing
Yeah,
over
those-
any of the catch basins. And
Right,
the
right.
red clay was just flowing right in and right into the, right
Yeah.
in, completely
Great.
violation of the construction sequence and best management practices. So I guess we'll look forward to hearing a plan, but, and I'm still very much leaning towards, we talked about it at our last meeting, and I guess we'll see what happens, but, I'm still kind of leaning towards having us hire an outside consulting firm to come in and take another look at this and see what their opinion is, and I guess one of the things I'll say to you, Philippe, that we'll be looking from you is, yeah, we want a letter saying that this basin is going to function as designed.
Yeah, for sure. And there's definitely certain things that will have to be done before I make that statement.
I would imagine there would be.
Yeah.
Other than that, I guess I'm all set with Hidden Ponds for now. Anybody else have any comments?
I have nothing further.
All right. Thank you, Al. Thank you,
Thank you.
Philippe.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Felipe.
Take care.
Thanks.
Going back to Hidden Pond, project monitoring, I'm sorry. I had one other one that made a stop. I think it was last Sunday after I picked up my packet over at Jeff's house, and I stopped by the Robin Road site, Ralph Capua's project, and I noticed two things, and we kind of need to send him a letter. Currently, right now, there's no existing flaggings up for the wetland. All the flags are gone, and he does not have a DEP sign up. So we need to send him the friendly letter to take care of that. The other one I guess we had to talk about was, I don't know if Rockies is the name of it or what, but the letter did go out. Yeah, what was it? Oh, East Long Meadow Center Village LLP. And everybody saw the pictures of the litter and the situation in the basin back there. I suppose we just need to wait to our next meeting to hear from the owner regarding this, unless anybody has any other comments they want to add to it.
No, I think the letter pretty much covered it, clean it up. It's a mess.
Through the chair, Greg.
Yes, sir.
Okay, the major issue was not addressed, I don't think. I got a copy of the letter about the grease in that basin. I know it's been an ongoing thing, and that holding container he has for grease and oil, I mean, it's sitting right over a storm drain. And when I was there the last time I was there, and the first time, it was full, and the whole container itself, the outside on the parking lot was all grease. So I'm wondering, are they aware of that? And when I was over there earlier this week, I think it was Monday, you could see more grease. Even though it was cleaned, they removed all the rubbish that you see all around the edging. But the grease, looked like there was more in both basins. So I was just wondering, is he aware of that?
It is not stated in the letter regarding the grease.
No, the letter, the copy of the letter that I have is,
Yeah, it doesn't say anything about the grease.
no.
And so then, to the best of my knowledge, he's not aware, other than if they saw
Okay.
it, now looked at it.
Bethany, has he contacted your office yet, or no?
I have not heard from him. Rebecca's been out the last day or two, so he may
Okay.
have emailed her. And I can see if she can forward that to me when she has a chance.
I know, I know the town's aware of it. Donna's aware of it in the health department. It is a real serious issue, I feel. And like I said, I heard it's been going on for some time. And I'm just wondering if these basins are now contaminated.
That might be another question for Mark Stinson.
Okay.
So I will check in with him. I already have another question for him. So I'll give him a call tomorrow and see how, because I think generally if there's something like a grease issue, that would go straight to DEP and they would come out and check it out and see what this
Okay.
And I guess, we can see what the response is from Center Village LLP. And, if we wish, we can request that they attend a meeting.
Good.
Okay.
I mean, this has got to be addressed ASAP. I wouldn't let it go on any longer.
Clarification, what property are we talking about?
We're talking about the property right behind the Center Grill restaurant. There's a retention basin
Okay, we call that,
behind Rockies.
yeah,
It-
Hang
it-
Rockies. Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
it's called East Long Meadow Center Village,
Okay, thank you.
which I believe compromises the Rockies building all the way over to Center Square and perhaps even the other building in the
Okay, thank
parking
you.
lot
Yeah.
there.
Right.
It pretty much encompasses everything but Walgreens and health tracks.
Okay, thank you.
Well, it'll get addressed as quickly as possible or unless you're requesting, Tony, that we have emergency hearings for this.
I think we should. I really do. I mean, it's not just a little grease. Like I said when I went over there, I mean, just standing in between those two basins, it smelled terrible. With a warm, and I'm not even including that container that they've got. I think it's put in the wrong location now. I don't know if that's under our jurisdiction or the Board of Health, but looks like to me it was every time it rains, the lid was off, was folded back. I mean, you saw that container that they have. It's right on the edge, right on the edge of the parking lot.
Yeah, I did, and I'm not an expert, but it did not appear to me that this issue has occurred in the last 3, 4, 5, or 6 months. It's been more of an ongoing issue. So,
Yeah.
in my opinion, I don't believe another week or two or whatever, and they've taken some corrective measures, but I don't believe a couple, 3 weeks or a month is going to make or break the outcome of this. So I think I'd be leaning toward just going on a regular meeting schedule with this.
All right, whatever.
Other commissioners.
Well, I think we've noted the problem. We've sent a letter to the property owner, and I think we have to give him the opportunity to take corrective action before we go, crazy.
So are we reporting it to DPW? I know Bethany had mentioned something.
Not DPW,
I mean,
DEP. So generally, if there is any kind of environmental spill, you would report it to DEP. And then Mark will contact me just to let me know what's going on. Like when we had that big fire in the industrial building and there was some contamination. So they will clean it up. And if there's anything that the local commission needs to handle, they'll let us know. So I will reach out to Mark Stinson tomorrow and ask him what he would suggest as far as next steps the commission should take.
okay, thank you.
Something that DEP would work directly with the property owner on.
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else have anything? Jeffrey?
Yeah, went by Purv Street this afternoon, and it looks like most all the trees have been cut out of there. That one tree that was down where they couldn't put the silt fence has been pulled out. The silt fence has been put up in that area. The only thing is the silt fence down at the front towards North Main Street looks like it's it needs some attention. That was the original silt fence put in, a year ago. But they did have their DEP sign up, and so it's progressing, but everything looks pretty much okay.
I can shoot Bill LaPlante a message about that.
Yeah. And like we had talked to Rich when we were out there, based on the slope of that, I think we should monitor and see if they need, they're going to need to put wattles down in there. I mean, that's now that all the trees and the invasive species are out of there. It's kind of a steep slope going down. So
I think we should probably just ask for it. The rainy season's coming.
yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
And I'll mention that to Bill too. Rich did say on our site visit that wouldn't be a problem.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll add that in it. I'll copy everybody. Anything else under project monitoring? No. All righty. Next one was policies and procedures. I really didn't have anything in that area tonight. I don't know if anybody else does.
No, I don't really see anything at the moment.
Okay,
Tom is not with us. He had something, but he's not with us.
apparently not. Nope. All righty. I guess if there's nothing else, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So moved.
I don't know.
Second.
There you go, Tony.
Did you hear me?
Yes, we
Tony,
did.
thank you. Francis,
Okay.
Aye.
Elizabeth,
Aye.
Tony,
Yes.
Jeffrey.
Aye.
I am a yes vote also. Thanks, Bethany, and thank you, everybody.
Thanks. Have a good
everybody.
night.
Thanks, guys.
All right, good night.